Okay, I think we are live. What's up, Championship Leadership? I'm excited. I know I've been promoting this a little bit, but reached out to Jen and Tom Satterly out of St. Louis, Missouri. I had Tom on my podcast not that long ago, and Jen and Tom, they are the co-founders of All Secure Foundation, which provides workshop retreats for special operations combat warriors and their significant others led by Tom and Jen, along with trauma and marriage therapist Stacy Stone. Also provide PTS resiliency training for active duty special operations service members and resources for SOF couples and their families healing from PTS and TBI. Tom Satterly served in the U.S. Army for 25 years, 20 of those in Delta Force, retiring as a command sergeant major. His first combat mission was the Battle of Mogadishu in Somalia, as referenced through the movie that you may have heard of, Black Hawk Down. And his wonderful wife, Jen, owned an advertising and film photography studio in St. Louis, creating award-winning work for over 10 years. And again, your focus right now is inside of the All Secure Foundation. You guys made a post about, we have the social distancing going on right now and a little bit of isolation and quarantine or whatever, all the great terms that we have for what's happening today with the coronavirus, flattening the curve. But you just made a post that really made maybe the light bulb go off for me of all these people that are dealing with PTS and how that could be not maybe such a great thing for those in isolation as they're dealing with PTS. So I reached out and you guys are gracious enough to come in here and really talk about how we could, step up as leaders during these uncertain times, and also to serve those that really need the help and of course, specifically those dealing with PTS right now. So maybe, I guess, first of all, thank you for being here and coming on.
Oh, thanks for having us on. Yeah, it's not much else you can do anymore. So this is awesome, but we always love being on Championship Leadership.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And so what are, maybe just to start it off, like what are some of the things that you guys, because obviously, I run events and I know that you guys run retreats and workshops and all that stuff's really kind of put on hold right now. So what are some of the ways that you guys are maybe adapting and innovating and changing with these times that we have right now to continue to help those that you do on a daily basis through the All Secure Foundation?
Yeah, just like everyone else, we're kind of adapting on the fly, and just kind of like what everybody's going to have to get used to now. We've, like you said, everything's been canceled for us up until June at least. Even some things after that have been postponed and canceled. But we were already starting to work this first quarter in developing online content. Mm-hmm. So this just kind of fast forwarded this.
Yeah, we have a lot more time to get on it. So we had a bunch of, we were supposed to go up to the White House actually next week and do some PTS training with their staffers in their communication agency, the White House Communication Agency. We were going up to Lockheed Martin. We were training at Fort Bragg. All of that's been pushed off. So
Special Forces Charitable Trust just canceled for this year today. So, and that was at the end of the year. So there's a lot of things in turmoil.
Our retreats were canceled, postponed. So with this time, we quickly, honestly, it was probably like a 2-day period that when everything just started crashing, it was like, okay, the retreat's canceled. Okay, the speaking engagements, what's going on with that? Okay, they're all canceled. And I gotta say, I felt pretty depressed for like a couple of days because I'm like, we've been working so hard towards
put her on watch
for years. But he was like, I'm pretty sunny disposition. So he's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
The kids are home for the rest of the year. And so it's a lot of adjustment. And I'm a person who actually really enjoys change and look for change. Mm-hmm. But this kind of change, the sudden, rapid, out of your control kind of change is unnerving. And especially if you have PTS. I have childhood PTS, so I have a little bit of it left over. I've been working on it for years, but some people who are just in the thick of it haven't really addressed it yet. Maybe even haven't come to terms. This kind of chaos, this kind of uncertainty, it's a trigger for sure. And it sends off a whole bunch of warning bells subconsciously.
Yeah, like most guys say, I'm going to move out to Montana. I'm going to isolate. I hate people. I hate civilians. Nobody knows what they're doing, so they isolate, and then they isolate with their problems, right? Because they still have the problems.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Now it's compounded with people who didn't really consider that, get out every day and mingle with people and have that connection. Now they're stuck at home. It's limited, now your new best friend is the gas station lady. Here you go, pump gas again. Hey, waving. More people are waving now, but people crave that connection. So those of us who have faked it for a long time, not wanting to be around people and isolating because they don't get us, it's exacerbated things, and it's gonna compound on people.
Yeah, I've been thinking and talking to some in the last few days about, like, I don't think we've even really seen it yet, right? And I would love to hear, like, we've made it kind of through a week, and I think everybody can kind of survive and make it for a week. But that connection that you just talked about, I think, we thrive on that. Even if you don't think you do, I think we really all naturally do. And so what's going to happen in week 2, week 3, I really, unfortunately, feel like it could start to really go downhill fast.
Yeah, whether we admit it or know it, it's 48 hours.
48 hours, right.
Of isolation. People start, breaking down? What's the proper
Well,
time?
and our bodies as human animals, we are literally programmed and designed. It's in our DNA to be connected.
Yeah.
It's a survival instinct. If we literally still have our DNA and makeup from our cave people ancestors. So, we are meant to be a tribal society. We are meant to survive by relying on each other. So biologically, after 48 hours without human connection or touch, that's really what that number is about, is the physical form of touch, that you start becoming depressed and your body starts to look for that because it's survival. That's a survival mechanism. So we are built for that kind of connection. This type of isolation really scares me for people who are alone. Like I have my 16-year-old, who just turned 16 today. I have him here. We have our 13-year-old here. We have each other. I worry about the people who are isolated and really are truly alone in this. And so for those people, or if you know someone in that situation, please make sure that you're checking in with them, sending a text, especially a phone call. It's so good to hear people and make sure that we're connecting in any way that we can. Heck, we have a friend who's pretty sick, and so we, felt bad for him. We just drove by, literally, and like we're waving at the window, and he came to the window, and we were all like, "Hey!"
It's a Saturday parade driving by, texting our friends, "Look out your window!"
And they're like,
they'll texting back. That was exciting. I'm like, "All right, that's what we got. That's what we have now."
Yeah, that's excitement now. Yeah,
right.
It takes 48 hours to start breaking down, but it literally takes 30 seconds of a hug to start biological change in your body. To release endorphins. I throw out endorphins. Is it endorphins?
Yeah, it's the serotonin.
Serotonin.
It releases after 30 seconds of touch. So you're right. It's 48 hours apart, but 30 seconds back together. And
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe talk a little bit more about, like, I don't know, I mean, PTS and what it is, and how many are out there that maybe are suffering from something like that, or going through experiencing PTS but don't really know it, or maybe others don't know it. Well, I'm just wondering, like, what are some ways that we can maybe, I don't know if there is, right? Are there ways that you can kind of see some things, some signs that would help you to say that, hey, maybe this person really needs a little bit more help, or connection? And then what are some ways in this time, if you have any ideas of how we can connect with those, especially with PTS during this time?
Yeah, I know Jen will break this down a lot better than me, but before she starts, it's people need to consider that this event now can cause PTS in people. So while dealing with it, it's creating it, the fear, the anxiety, the anticipation of the unknown. I haven't been here before, so how do I navigate it? So there's so many people out there that their lives are more rigid. I'm lucky in the sense that I've had so many things thrown at me in life that you know, a lot of my friends too, I'm not just saying me, but people we work with, military people, you know, combat related incidences where chaotic situations you can't control, like this, of an enemy you can see, this is an enemy you can't see. And you don't even know if the enemy's inside you, you know? So it's terrifying for many people who haven't experienced or had to experience anything like this. So people are like, well, you can't have PTS, you weren't in combat, or you can't have this or that. They don't really know, right? It affects different people. People have different levels of stress that they can manage. So it's not for us individually to judge others and what affects them.
No, and I would say, as far as one thing that we really try to help people to understand is it's a biological response. It's not a choice. You can't will it away. It's not something, hey, I feel weak, is what we hear all the time in the military or law enforcement community.
You can't train for it. Training mitigates risk, not PTS and what you're going to get biologically.
Right. I mean, it's literally, again, our DNA makeup of protection of survival. And so when you go through a traumatic incident, and it doesn't matter what that trauma is, like I said, it could be childhood abuse, it could be a rape, it could be, you know, combat or a law enforcement.
Car wreck.
It could be a car wreck. You know, it could be a pandemic, especially if you have a loved one that's vulnerable right now and maybe really high risk. That kind of day-to-day fear, really your body starts biologically working to protect yourself. But some of the things that we kind of need to look for, you know, like Tom said, everyone manages it differently. So what affects one person might not affect the same person in the same way. And so it's really easy to judge, but it's exactly the opposite of what we tell people to do. We've had people say, well, they shouldn't have PTS. I've been through it way more than they have, and I don't have it. Or, you know, and that kind of judgment's really toxic, because every person's biology is different, you know.
And any judgment's toxic. I mean, everything
really
we do in the world that we judge or compare, you know, based off of us individually is always wrong.
Even when we judge ourselves, I shouldn't feel this way. I feel weak.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to ask for help because I don't know how to ask for help, or I'm afraid of the judgment that will come with asking for help. But PTS is something that really needs to be worked through. And it takes time, it takes tools to do the work to heal from it. It's not something you can just say, this will go away on its own. We know through research that PTS can get worse with time, not better. So it's important, if you're seeing any triggers, to come to us, All Secure Foundation. There's tons of resources for help. I mean, there's a little thing called Google. It amazes me when people are like, I don't understand, or I don't know where to go for help. I'm like, the thing in your hand does more than, you know, text and, I don't know, play on social media games. You can Google.
And leadership needs to
help
go
in my
along with
area.
that. Leadership needs to go along with everybody's a leader, right? You choose to be a leader or not. You either sit back and watch it happen, or you step up and help, or you step up and take charge. I get a lot of phone calls, you know, hey, CSM, what do you think about all this? I appreciate that people think that I'm deep in the planning process of the coronavirus.
Right.
And, you know, what am I going to crack jokes? I don't know, man. I mean, but people are reaching out because they want someone to soothe them, right? I mean, that's what people kind of do. They want an answer that soothes them. So all I can do is send out information that I've read. I know, you know, and tell people that it's how you handle it. You can't manage what you can't see. You can't control everything. So people who are trying to control everything are going to get more stressed and depressed because they're going to fail over and over again. It's how you handle it. It's all perspective. I just talked to a friend of mine this morning. You know, they're on lockdown in New York, and it's my first engagement of somebody who knows somebody who has this. You know, a friend of his has it, and he was sick and in bed. But okay, so his wasn't that bad, right? Yeah. And now some people that take what I'm saying, oh, thank God, it's not that bad. I don't know. Some people die, some people don't, right? Like
your literary agent has a friend who
my literary agent has a friend who died from it. And then I just this morning have a friend who knows somebody who has it, and he sent pictures, you know, in bed wearing a sweatshirt, and he put the imaging thing on Facebook or whatever to make him look old and nasty, like he was horrible. And he looked like he was dying. He sent it to Brad like, I'm doing all right, I think. And you know, it's funny. Right. But it's your perspective, because if you can't control it, there's no cure. And I know it's terrifying to have something. right? Or terrifying that you might get something. But what can you do? You can be smart. You can help others through it. It'll take your mind off of it. I called 5 different people this morning, reaching out to some of my friends I haven't talked to in a while, you know? And it's always good when you call a friend, like, why are you calling me?
Yeah.
I'm just checking on you. Well, what do you need? Nothing. Just checking on you. No, but seriously, why'd you call me? You know, seriously, to check on you. I'm trying to show people what to do. Reach out. You know, I don't just say and preach. Check on your friends. Check on the ones you haven't talked to in a long time.
Right.
Check on your strong ones. I'm doing it. I got nothing else to do, right? So I'm going to text and call people. Actually, I'm calling people to get that extra level of connection versus the text.
Yeah.
Which I'm not good at. I don't like to do it. I don't like to talk too much, you know, at one time on the phone. So I'm pushing myself out of my element in hopes of getting other people to do the same. And then you'll have that phone tree reaching out. And you'll reach more people, you know, check in on more people, and they'll just feel thought of, you know, you considered calling me. Wow. It literally surprises me when it shocks my friends. And then I realized when they said, well, we haven't talked in 10 years. I'm like, well, I've been busy, man.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I've been a little busy, you know, 10 years busy.
Yeah. I mean, so that's definitely important, right? I mean, that's one thing that we all can be doing. If anything, I would say, you know, during this, probably not all, but a majority of us, we have extra time right now, right? And what are you doing with that time? And I think that's a great thing to be able to do. We can't have the physical connection necessarily right now, unless it's, you know, like you say, family in your home, or we're not supposed to, right?
Right.
So
it's like, what do you do with it? It's like, what do you do with adversity? Do you stop, or do you shift directions? Do you put your head down and plow through it? I mean, you got to pick a path, and as long as it's forward, you know, always forward.
And I would say what's really important, I think, for any person, because really we do thrive on routine and structure as human animals too, is we have a pattern. And so I think it's really important, as you talked about, as the days go on and the weeks go on, that you keep to some sort of routine or pattern. It was kind of one of those weekends where it was like, oh, let's just watch Netflix all weekend, and who cares? And it was raining and cold and gross. And so we just used it as an excuse. And by like Sunday afternoon at 3:00, he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I have to clean or something. I have to get up. I have to move. You know, I'm organizing the kitchen pantry because why not? But you know, come Monday morning, I got up at the same time I always get up. I had my coffee, sat down to emails. I didn't have as much work to do that I typically did, but you know, for me, I was like, oh, this is a great time. I could start writing some blogs, you know,
reading,
do more content, you know,
blogs, get out there, do something you don't normally do. Ask us. We put out a Facebook Live, our very first one, yesterday.
I saw it. Yeah. It was awesome.
I think I said a cuss word at the end, like, we nailed that. And I go, is that thing off? I was pushing the button. I had to listen to it. Oh my God.
We sound like grandparents. Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
You know, embarrassing to me to try something new, but we did it. And, you know, ask questions like, so ask us. We'll do more videos. Put it out there, and there's some really deep ones on there. There's some funny ones, but there's some deep ones that I'm like, well, do I want to Google and get some answers first, or do I just want to take it as it is? But, you know, reach out and do something that helps other people.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Help you for sure.
And it's a great opportunity to do that thing that you've been meaning to do, you know, that you haven't done. And I've seen a lot of people like, oh, I'm writing poetry. I wrote, you know, something the other day, or, oh, hey, a friend of mine painted a room really cool. You know, it's like, you might as well do something with the time.
So some people will sit here and do nothing, waiting for the end. Like, I'm going to sit here and there's nothing to do, but I'm going to wait for the end, and then I'm going to do stuff. Well, when the end comes, I think there's going to be a lot of get back to work, and how do we fix what's happened now. So I think we're going to be really, really busy. So get to work now, right? If not now, when, right? So what was that, Tony Robbins? When you come up with something, and if you think of an idea or an exercise or a workout or something your mind doesn't want to do, your body doesn't think it's pleasurable.
The 5-second rule?
The 5-second rule.
That's Mel Robbins.
It's Mel Robbins?
Mel Robbins,
Sorry,
Mel Robbins.
Sorry, Mel.
Get Tony credit.
Same last name.
Right? So they're probably brothers, but
except for she's a girl.
Yeah, it's a gal.
All right, Mel. Sorry, Mel.
They're related.
I don't think Mel's going to see this, so yeah, that's all right.
I met Tony.
But yeah, there is a 5-second rule. If you don't know it, look it up. Mel's
start
got some
negotiating
great
with
TED
yourself.
Talks.
Yeah, I need to work out. If you're not up and working out in 5 seconds or heading that way, your mind's going to think, well, maybe after this next show or after a snack or after a nap. No negotiations. I think
that's Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins says don't negotiate.
Yeah, even his cold plunge. He goes in every morning, stares at it, jumps right in. Because if I think about it, it's no negotiations. Just jump right in and get it done, and then you're done. You're over with. You're proud of yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's what was that McCraven was trying to get to, and he said, just make your bed.
Yep.
And you got everybody like, I don't make my bed. That's a waste of time. I think he's saying, get something done.
Yeah.
At least you've done that.
Something. There's a task. Now move on to the next task.
Yeah, and starting your day that way. You're right. Like even in this group here, some of the biggest obstacles or struggles for people were they're just talking about their routine and how it's thrown off and how I think there's a lack of motivation. I kind of feel it as well, but and if you're used to being driven by motivation, that's scary when you're lacking it.
Yeah.
So
if you're in the military where you're always told what to do or have something that you can do, it's easy. If you have a job to go to, it's easy. But as soon as everything's cut off, you're like, well, what now? What do I do now? Right? So you know what? I make a list. If I make a list, I feel obligated to do the list.
You do.
Yeah. If I wake up in the morning with no list,
it's on the list. It's number 7.
Did 25 years in the Army, and I can lay in bed a little bit longer today, and then you fall prey to that, and I've fallen prey to that of laying around longer, and then you do it longer, and then longer, and it's like, well, maybe I'll get up at 3 p.m. and start to work, but you got to get up, start doing something.
And I'm like, that's enough of dirty jobs. Like 22 hours of micro. I mean, I love micro.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's a great idea.
It's awesome. But
yeah,
I mean, and motivation's a tough thing because I mean, I'm pretty motivated person by nature, but I mean, man, this last week just kind of kicked the wind out of me.
Yeah.
I was in a weird
Think about the depression
space.
weighing on people, the anxiety that takes your energy and sucks it out of your soul, and you got to really push past it and have some fun. Have a picnic. We built a fire last night and made some funny videos and posted them. Stuff we would never do.
We're like, no more news. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll get
tell me about it.
If the freaking alarm starts going off on my phone that says seek shelter or something. But I mean, that was a bad habit too. Like the TV for the first couple of days was on 24/7.
Gloom and doom. You're tuned into it.
Watching what's happening. What are we supposed to be doing? Who's getting sick? And so I feel like we're starting to swing out of that a little bit. At least here we are of, okay, we'll check our phones in the morning and see what the news report is, or if there's anything, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But let's get some work done. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, all the questions are about, should I worry about it to me? Or what do you think this is all going crazy? Are we mad? We need to get back to work. I mean, you know what? I just tell people, act like you have it and you don't want to give it to somebody else. Instead of, I read that a doctor put that out and it made the best sense to me. Instead of acting like you don't want to catch it, you don't know if you have it already. So act like you have it and you don't want to give it to other people and go about your day. And then when we're past this, those who have lost their minds will spend time trying to gather everything together, and those who just kind of let it ride and did what they could while it happened, and and be prepared to shift directions because everybody doesn't know what's going on. So I'm glad I'm not in charge. I wouldn't want to be that guy, man, because you're not making anybody happy no matter what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe talk about that, about like the ability to shift. Maybe, you just came out with your book. So I don't know if there's a experience or a story that you could think of from your time in the military where, you had to, in which I'm sure there's countless examples of times where you got thrown the major curveball and you had to adapt and shift. And like you said, we're all leaders and you're forced to lead. You don't have the option not to, maybe to help those of us that are listening that are struggling with the motivation, routines all out of whack, that they're just kind of knocked sideways with this whole thing, to help pull them out of it and be like, hey, here's some things that you can do. Here's based on some of my past experiences that could hopefully help them to make the move themselves that they need to make.
Yeah, I think I learned that lesson 365 times a year at a minimum. Yeah. It was everything we did, right? I mean, no matter what you did, And no matter how long you planned for something, it lasted 30 seconds into execution. Then you had to adapt and adjust already, or even on your way to a target or on your way to something, things change. So it's what you do with that. It's like I tell everybody, to be a leader, but to be a leader, you have to not get caught up in the hands-on part of it, because now your head's down, you're doing the work, you're caught up in the chaos and the emotion of it. You can't make proper decisions. You have to remove yourself, step back and observe what's going on. Look outside the circle that you were stuck in as the bigger picture and make those calm decisions, you know, with those emotions removed.
Yeah.
Personal emotions removed. So you can kind of see the big picture and make better judgments. I mean, I tried to do that as I grew up in the military. You know, obviously you get better at it and better at it and better at it. And, you know, you get better by failing and doing it wrong. And then you learn again, you do it wrong again, you learn some more, things change. So in everything you do, be able to stop and step back and take the whole picture in and not get so in love with anything, or not get so in love with Fox or CNN and the perspectives that they're putting out, or any perspective, and just kind of take as much information as you can. Do your own research. But I tell people, like I tell everybody, you know, if you're starting to feel sick, don't go on WebMD and start typing in your symptoms, because you're going to be dying in about 2 minutes. You know, you find that you have something no one's even heard about yet, and you'll be dead in a week. So
plus 12 other things.
You'll freak yourself out. So you have to be smart about it and understand. People need to understand, and I think they do, that everything that's put out on social media and the news is designed with a task as well. I mean, I don't think it's all subversive. I think it's also put out who can put it out the fastest. Yeah. Who can get a doctor on there and say something different or cool or that meets their point of view, when I think everybody should just be getting together and just be given the facts. I mean, news to me is not opinion. It's just facts put out there. Here's what we know. It might be wrong, but here's what we know so far. I mean, that's when you have news 24/7 that they put a spin on it and then talk about the news, which now it's opinion. You know, and now everybody's we all have different opinions. So I don't know how you can get anybody to agree on anything there, but stepping back, making those decisions after absorbing facts and out of emotion, and not having a hidden agenda behind it, you know, like stirring up fear or trying to be funny. I mean, there's always reasons. I mean, I'm going back to posts that I'm reading now, but it's with anything in life. I think social media is an extension of conversation, human conversation, how you behave, typed, you know, so you can add photos and videos that get people's emotions stirred up pretty fast.
Yeah. And I think motivation, I mean, there's a lot of people at home now who do own businesses, who have people that work for them remotely, and they've got to keep their stay-at-home workers motivated during this time too, and not watching Netflix for, you know, the majority of the working day, or, you know, I mean, the challenge is also here, if you've got young kids at home. We've got a lady across the street, and every day I'm like, oh dear Lord. I mean, I pray for you. You've got all these little kids in your house and they're running around like crazy. Mine are old enough that they're self-sufficient, but
you're trying to say hi to the delivery guy with food, and the delivery guy's running away from the kids because they don't get it. He's like, well, 6 feet, people.
But people are faced with now being homeschool teachers. If I had a first grader and third grader, the majority of my day now would be making sure they're sitting down, learning, getting the information they need, doing their homework. So I can't even imagine the weight of having a boss you have to report to saying, no, really, I am homeschooling right now. And then I guess start working at 3 o'clock and into the night. My brother does special operations computer systems. And so he's been working, I think sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, because he's getting all the guys and gals to work from home remotely for the military. And, so there's certain people who are working like crazy, and other people who are like, this is a vacation. So people are all over the board, and people just need to understand someone's situation at home might not be the same as your situation at home. And there's so many people, even children in abusive households, that school was their escape, schools where they got lunch, schools where they were fed breakfast, schools where they were getting attention. And so, my heart really goes out to a lot of families who are struggling right now. And I think we all just need to have empathy and understanding that for us, our home life's pretty good right now, and we haven't tried to kill each other any more than we normally do. So
yeah,
give it a week.
But some people really, emotionally have a more difficult time, maybe because of previous trauma. Maybe they've got a family member that's sick, and now they've got 3 kids and caring for someone else. So I just hope that everyone can kind of try to be real kind to each other right now, and understanding, especially if you are a manager. We've got people who are volunteers for us. We literally brought on someone last week. We're like, welcome. And I guess
oh, wow.
we're working from home here. But,
yeah.
How Tom talks about everyone's a leader. He's Air Force Special Operations. And last night he just sent this great text that was very upbeat. It was very encouraging. And it was a short, just, 3-point text. And I'm like, that made my night.
You know how when you're out of the military for a while, you forget what it was like, and things just happened.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, well, we'll probably wait a week. We might get a response back from people and this and that. And you're kind of used to the slowed down lifestyle. Yeah. He's still in. It's his last 6 months working, for us, and then he'll be out. He's still like, all right, point 1, point 2, point 3. She's like, I love this. I'm like, me too. I forgot all about it. Efficiency, man. It's back.
Right.
It's back.
And kindness, really.
Yeah.
It was just a nice message that made us feel good. And it's like, I hope people are doing that, reaching out, saying nice things.
That'll be key to all this is to have that empathy. And what Jim was talking about is understanding that there are kids that are abused at home, that are stuck at home now. So did many people consider that, or breakfast was how they got fed at school, and now they're not getting fed, and people stuck with more people at home, that makes their life even more difficult. That if it doesn't affect you, a lot of people don't even care, right? Who, like people that don't donate for cancer or whatever. I always say that, but until you have somebody in your family or somebody close to you that has it, you don't put much effort into it, really. And then all of a sudden you have this, help me donate money for cancer now. My brother has cancer. So you got to think beyond just affecting you and your tribe and your family, outside of that, and how many people it's affecting around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. When you say that about, the kids that could be in abusive home, it literally could be your next door neighbor, right? And you just have no clue.
Yeah.
No clue.
And now it's a more stressful time, which means the abuse will probably go up. Yeah. And people need to talk to
and job
children.
Loss, economic struggles. It's a heavy weight for everyone, but it's, for some people more than others.
And again, it's what you do with it. I think people should talk to the children about it so they're smart, because they're hearing the information. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure they have the proper information. So instead of trying to shelter them, I think it's best to talk to them about, hey, how do you feel about this? Whatever, okay, but here's what we think you should know about this. Kind of lay it out, because kids don't put much stock into it, or they don't want to tell you they're scared or terrified or don't understand it. Or they might be getting information from their friends, like, don't worry about it, just go about your normal business. Like, no. Wash your hands, brush your teeth at least, please, something, whatever. But do something different now, because that's why it's spreading. People weren't paying attention and thinking that it won't happen to me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I really do appreciate you guys coming on, taking some time today and connecting, which I think, if we could have more of these conversations and connecting with people and reaching out, just like you're saying, and calling people that you haven't talked to in 10 years and just to check in, right? I think that's a big one for all of us. What would you say, like, if someone is listening that maybe is dealing with PTS, just to wrap this up, or somebody that knows somebody that is, and maybe a resource that they could get to, or a place that they could contact, any thoughts or ideas there for those, listening right now?
Yeah, I would say All Secure Foundation.
Absolutely.
So we have resources on our website, and actually one of the things that we're doing during this time is relaunching a website, and we'll have far more resources on it, even more than what we have. But again, Google, even if you're not comfortable, even just taking the first step of, I think I'm feeling this way, please understand that if you do have PTS in any form, that it's a natural biological response to stress. It's normal, and with the right healing modalities, you can get to the other side of it. So if you're feeling anger all the time, depression, paranoia, anxiety, restlessness, that's a normal response for something that you've been through. So come to our website, get some resources. Even looking at people outside the industry, Tony Robbins, Mel, like we had talked about, Gabrielle Bernstein, other people who are kind of leaders in self-help is a great thing to do right now. I mean, we've all got some time to watch some good TED Talks, and
absolutely.
We'll put that information out more too, but make sure that if you are struggling that you're reaching out for help.
Yeah. I mean, hit us up. I want to hear your excuses as to why you can't do something.
Yeah.
If people are like, oh, I can't, or it sounds great, but I can't, I'm going to hear why. Tell me why you can't, and we'll talk about it. I mean, hit us up, reach out to our website, let us know what's bothering you and why you can't fix it. We'll help you fix it. I mean, it's if you don't do anything, nothing will happen. So give it a shot. Keep trying. And if the first thing you tried didn't work, or the first 5, right? We never quit, do we? So don't ever quit. Keep going until you get where you want to be, and you'll get there. I promise people. Promise everybody, you'll get there.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It's been great to reconnect with you, Tom, and to meet you, Jen. And I just appreciate you guys taking time.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on. We should do this for 8 hours a day, right? We just keep talking to people all the time.
All right. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Yep.